The galaxy had been at war for a very long time, so long that no one could remember when it all began. For 800,000 years, civilizations rose and fell like waves on an endless ocean. The Xalans, insect-like creatures with glowing eyes and hive-mind intelligence, fought fiercely against the Varnathi, amphibious beings who lived in water-filled domes and ruled through brute strength. Between them lay countless smaller species, either forced to pick sides or wiped out entirely. On Eridu, a small neutral planet far from the fighting, life went on as usual. The people of Eridu were farmers, scholars, and artists. They avoided conflict by staying hidden, their world tucked away in a quiet corner of the galaxy. But not everyone was content to ignore what was happening beyond their borders. Kale, a young historian with a sharp mind and restless heart, spent his days buried in dusty archives. He read about ancient battles, fallen empires, and forgotten heroes. To him, the war wasn't just history, it was a puzzle waiting to be solved. Kale often wandered the halls of the Grand Library, where holographic displays showed maps of the galaxy marked with scars of destruction. One day, while studying a map, he noticed something strange. A faint signal blinked in the corner of the screen, originating from deep space outside the galaxy. It was weak but consistent, like a cry for help. Intrigued, Kel reported it to the Council of Elders, hoping they would investigate. But they dismissed him, saying Eridu's survival depended on staying out of trouble. Frustrated, Kel decided to act on his own. With the help of his childhood friend, Lyra, a skilled engineer, he built a small probe capable of tracking the mysterious signal. They launched it into the void, watching anxiously as it disappeared into the stars. Days turned into weeks, and just when Kale started to lose hope, the probe returned with data. The signal came from a distant cluster of stars, pulsing rhythmically like a heartbeat. More importantly, it carried coordinates pointing toward a specific location inside the galaxy. Kale knew this discovery was too important to keep secret. He shared the information with a trusted mentor, Elder Maris, who reluctantly agreed to present it to the council. After much debate, the elders decided to send an envoy to investigate. Kale volunteered immediately, eager to see the galaxy beyond Eridu's protective veil. Alongside him went Lyra, whose quick thinking made her invaluable, and two other volunteers, Torin, a calm and steady pilot, and Nessa, a medic known for her kindness. Their journey took them across vast stretches of empty space, past dying stars and swirling nebulae. When they finally reached the coordinates, they found themselves staring at a massive structure floating silently in the blackness. It looked like a giant ring, its surface covered in intricate patterns that glowed softly in the dark. As they approached, the object hummed to life, projecting a beam of light that enveloped their ship. Suddenly, images flooded their minds, visions of burning planets, fleeing refugees, and armies clashing under alien suns. Then came a single message, repeated over and over. "Find us. Help us." The voice was neither male nor female, neither human nor alien. It felt ancient, older than anything Kel had ever studied. When the vision ended, the group sat in stunned silence. Whatever this thing was, it had called them here for a reason. And though none of them knew what lay ahead, one thing was certain. The galaxy's endless war was about to change forever. Far away from the mysterious object that Kale and his team had discovered, humanity was taking its first steps into the stars. On Earth, people were still learning how to live together after centuries of division and conflict. But now, united under a single government, they turned their eyes toward the unknown. Space exploration became their greatest dream, and Captain Ryan Carter was one of its brightest leaders. Ryan was a tall man with sharp features and a calm demeanor. He had spent most of his life in space, commanding ships on missions to explore nearby planets and moons. His crew trusted him because he never gave up, no matter how hard things got. Among his closest allies was Dr. Laura Bennett, a scientist who loved solving puzzles. She had curly brown hair and a curious mind that always asked questions others didn't think to ask. Together, they led the Odyssey *, Earth's newest and fastest starship. Their mission took them to Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. It was a place full of mysteries, with strange energy readings that puzzled astronomers for years. When the Odyssey * arrived, they found something incredible, an enormous alien artifact floating near a barren moon. The object was shaped like a sphere, its surface covered in glowing symbols that shifted and changed as if alive. It looked ancient, untouched by time or decay. Ryan ordered his crew to scan the artifact carefully. "We don't know what it is," he said, his voice steady but cautious. "Let's not take any chances." As they worked, Dr. Bennett noticed something unusual. The symbols seemed to react to their presence, shifting faster whenever someone moved closer. Then, without warning, the artifact activated. A bright beam of light shot out, surrounding the ship and filling everyone's minds with a flood of images. They saw distant galaxies, burning worlds, and armies locked in endless battles. Then came words, spoken in a language none of them understood yet somehow felt familiar. "Follow the path. Find us." When the vision ended, the artifact sent coordinates deep within the Milky Way before falling silent again. The crew was stunned. "What does it mean?" asked Jake Harper, Ryan's loyal wingman. Jake was young and eager, always ready for adventure. Beside him stood Maya Torres, the ship's tactical expert, her arms crossed as she thought through the possibilities. "It's a message," Laura said finally. "Someone, or something, is calling us." Back on Earth, news of the discovery spread quickly. Some people were excited, believing this could be humanity's chance to meet other intelligent beings. Others were afraid, worried about stepping into conflicts they didn't understand. President Clara Hayes called an emergency meeting to decide what to do next. After hours of debate, she gave Ryan permission to follow the coordinates. "This is our moment," she told him. "Go carefully, but go." As the Odyssey * set course for the new destination, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were heading into something bigger than anyone imagined. He gathered his crew in the ship's main hall. "We don't know what we'll find," he said, looking at each of them. "But whatever it is, we'll face it together." Days passed as the ship traveled deeper into space. Along the way, Laura studied the artifact's data, trying to decipher its secrets. She found fragments of information hinting at a war so old it spanned hundreds of thousands of years. The thought made her uneasy. What kind of conflict lasted that long? And why would someone call humanity into it? When they finally reached the coordinates, they found themselves surrounded by alien ships. Strange beings appeared on their screens, speaking in tones both urgent and weary. They explained the situation briefly. A war that had gone on for too long, with no end in sight. Humanity's arrival surprised them, but also gave them hope. Perhaps these newcomers could bring fresh ideas, or even turn the tide. Ryan listened carefully, his mind racing. This wasn't just an adventure anymore. It was a test, and possibly humanity's greatest challenge yet. The aliens who greeted Ryan and his crew were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Some were tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Others looked more like floating clouds of light, their forms constantly shifting. Despite their differences, they all shared one thing: exhaustion. Their voices carried the weight of centuries, and their eyes, if they had eyes, seemed hollow, as if drained of hope. Kale and his team from Eridu were already there, standing alongside the alien leaders. When Ryan stepped forward, Kale approached him cautiously. "You're human," Kale said, studying Ryan's face. His tone was curious but guarded. "We've heard stories about your kind, but we didn't expect you to answer the call." Ryan nodded, trying to stay calm despite the overwhelming situation. "We didn't expect this either," he admitted. "But here we are." The aliens explained their plight. The Zalans and the Varnethi had been at war for nearly 1,000,000 years, their hatred for each other so deep that neither side could imagine peace. Countless smaller species had been destroyed in the crossfire, their planets turned to rubble. Now both sides were running out of resources, their populations dwindling. Yet neither would back down, fearing extinction if they surrendered. Kale stepped forward, his voice firm. "This is why I called for humans to come," he said, addressing the gathered aliens. "Your ways aren't working anymore. You need fresh thinking, new ideas. Maybe humans can help." Not everyone agreed. Commander Vortha, a Varnethi leader with glistening blue scales and piercing yellow eyes, scoffed at the idea. "What can these fragile creatures do?" she demanded. "They're children compared to us. They don't understand what's at stake." Ryan didn't flinch. "Maybe we don't," he replied evenly. "But sometimes outsiders see things differently. That's why we're here, to try." After much debate, the aliens reluctantly agreed to let humanity join the fight, not as equals, but as observers. Ryan and his crew would assist the Xalans and Varnethi in small battles, proving their worth before being trusted with anything bigger. It wasn't ideal, but it was a start. Back on the Odyssey, Ryan gathered his team to discuss their next move. "This isn't just about fighting," he told them. "It's about finding a way to end this war. If we can show them another path, maybe we can make a difference." Laura nodded, her mind already working. "We'll need to learn everything we can about both sides, their strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. Knowledge is power." Jake grinned, eager for action. "And when it comes to battle, we'll show them what humans are made of." Their first mission came sooner than expected. A Xalan outpost was under attack by Varnethi forces, and Ryan's team was sent to help defend it. As they prepared for the battle, Kale joined them, offering advice based on his studies of the war. "The Xalans rely on teamwork," he explained. "Their hive mind makes them coordinated but predictable. The Varnethi, on the other hand, are aggressive and adaptable. Watch for ambushes." When the fighting began, Ryan quickly realized how different galactic warfare was from anything he'd trained for. Alien weapons fired beams of energy that sliced through ships like paper. Explosions lit up the darkness of space, sending shockwaves that rattled the Odyssey's hull. But Ryan's crew adapted quickly, using clever maneuvers to outsmart the enemy. Mia proved especially valuable, her tactical skills turning the tide in several close calls. "They're not used to this kind of unpredictability," she said with a smirk as she guided the ship through a narrow escape. By the time the battle ended, the Xalans had held their ground, thanks in large part to humanity's efforts. For the first time, Ryan saw glimmers of respect in the aliens' eyes. Commander Vortha still seemed skeptical, but even she couldn't deny the impact they'd made. As the Odyssey returned to base, Ryan felt a mix of pride and unease. They had proven themselves capable, but the real challenge lay ahead. Ending a war that had lasted 800,000 years wouldn't be easy, but Ryan knew they had to try. Humanity's place in the galaxy depended on it. As the days passed, humanity's role in the galactic war grew. Ryan and his crew were no longer just observers, they were active participants. The Xalans and Varnethi began to rely on their unique tactics, which often caught the enemy off guard. But not everyone was happy about it. Commander Vortha continued to view humans as reckless newcomers, while some Xalan leaders whispered that humanity's involvement might upset the fragile balance of power. Despite the tension, Ryan pushed forward. He knew they couldn't afford to sit back and watch. Every battle brought new lessons, and every victory gave them a chance to prove their worth. Jake Harper and Mia Torres became key players in the fight, their skills earning respect even from the most skeptical aliens. Jake's quick reflexes saved the Odyssey more than once, while Mia's strategic mind turned potential losses into wins. Dr. Laura Bennett, however, wasn't satisfied with just fighting. She spent hours analyzing data from each battle, searching for patterns or weaknesses that could end the war faster. Her curiosity led her to dig deeper into the history of the conflict, poring over records provided by Kale. One night, as she sifted through ancient logs, something caught her eye, a mention of an artifact similar to the one they had found near Proxima Centauri. Laura shared her discovery with Ryan immediately. "This could be important," she said, pointing to a faded image on her screen. "The artifact we found wasn't the only one. There are others scattered across the galaxy." Ryan frowned. "Do you think they're connected?" "It's possible," Laura replied. "If we can find more of them, we might learn something that could change everything." Kale overheard their conversation and offered to help. Together, they devised a plan to investigate. With Ryan leading the mission, they set out for a remote sector where another artifact was rumored to exist. Along the way, Kale explained what he knew about these objects. "Legends say they belong to an ancient race," he said. "A race far older and more advanced than any of us." When they arrived at the location, they found themselves facing heavy resistance. A group of rogue mercenaries, hired by neither the Xylans nor the Varnathi, guarded the area. Clearly, someone didn't want them getting close. Ryan ordered his team to stay alert as they approached the artifact, which hovered silently above a barren moon. The closer they got, the stranger things became. The artifact emitted a low hum that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. Laura scanned it eagerly, her instruments picking up faint signals. "It's transmitting something," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "I need more time to decode it." But time was a luxury they didn't have. The mercenaries launched an attack, forcing Ryan and his crew to fight back. Jake flew circles around the enemy ships, drawing their fire while Mia coordinated the defense. Amid the chaos, Kale noticed something unusual. The artifact's glow intensified whenever weapons fire came too close. "Stay away from it," Kale shouted. "It's reacting to the energy." His warning came just in time. As a stray shot grazed the artifact, it unleashed a burst of light so bright it blinded everyone temporarily. When the glare faded, the mercenaries were retreating, their ships damaged beyond repair. The artifact, now silent, floated harmlessly once more. Laura wasted no time retrieving the data it had transmitted. Back aboard the Odyssey *, she worked tirelessly to decipher it. What she found shocked them all. Fragments of a message warning of an impending doom. It spoke of a force so destructive it had wiped out entire civilizations before. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. "If this is true," he said quietly, "then we're not just fighting a war. We're running out of time." The discovery of the artifact's warning shook Ryan and his crew to their core. If what Laura had uncovered was true, then the war between the Xylans and Varnathi wasn't just a tragic waste. It was a distraction from a far greater threat. The message hinted at something called the Void Spawn, a parasitic force capable of consuming entire star systems. It didn't care about sides or alliances. It only sought destruction. Kale was the first to voice what everyone else was thinking. "This changes everything," he said, pacing back and forth in the Odyssey's briefing room. "If the Void Spawn is real, then both the Xylans and Varnathi are doomed unless they stop fighting each other." Ryan nodded grimly. "We need proof," he said, "something concrete that shows them the truth. Otherwise, they'll never believe us." Laura agreed. "The data we have isn't enough. We need more evidence, something undeniable." With that goal in mind, Ryan and Kale came up with a risky plan. They would infiltrate a heavily fortified border station shared by the Xylans and Varnathi. The station housed classified records detailing centuries of battles, resource usage, and population declines. Hidden within those archives might be clues about the Void Spawn's existence, or at least signs that the war was unsustainable. The mission required precision and stealth. Jake Harper volunteered immediately, eager to put his piloting skills to use. "I'll get us close," he promised. "Just tell me where you want me to go." Maya Torres joined as well, her tactical expertise ensuring they could handle any surprises. Together, The four of them boarded a small shuttle disguised as a supply vessel. As they approached the station, tension filled the air. The structure loomed ahead, bristling with weapons turrets and patrolling ships. Kale monitored their sensors, guiding Jake through narrow gaps between patrols. "Stay low," he whispered. "We don't want to draw attention." Once inside, the team split up. Ryan and Kale headed for the main archive, while Jake and Mia kept watch near the docking bay. The corridors were eerily quiet, the hum of machinery echoing off metal walls. Every step felt like walking into a trap. In the archive, Ryan and Kale worked quickly, downloading files onto portable drives. But as they reached the last set of data, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and loudspeakers announced an intruder alert. "They know we're here," Kale hissed, grabbing the drive. "Let's move." They sprinted back toward the shuttle, dodging patrols and narrowly avoiding capture. At one point, a Varnathi soldier cornered them, but Ryan acted fast, using a stun device to incapacitate him. By the time they reached the docking bay, Jake and Mia were already waiting, engines roaring. "Go, go, go," Ryan shouted as they leaped aboard. Jake hit the thrusters, weaving through enemy fire as they escaped into open space. Behind them, the station's defenses fired wildly, but the shuttle was too small and too fast to hit. Back on the Odyssey, Laura pored over the stolen data. What she found confirmed their worst fears. Mentions of strange phenomena near the galaxy's edge, reports of entire colonies vanishing without explanation, and calculations showing how long the Xalans and Varnathi had left before collapsing under the strain of war. It wasn't definitive proof of the void spawn, but it was enough to make the case. Ryan knew presenting this information wouldn't be easy. Many leaders would dismiss it as fear-mongering or manipulation, but he also knew they had no choice. Humanity had been called into this war for a reason, to bring hope where there was none. And now, it was time to deliver it. The Galactic Council chamber was tense, the air thick with distrust and frustration. Leaders from both the Xalan and Varnathi factions sat on opposite sides of the room, their expressions hardened by centuries of conflict. Ryan stood at the center, flanked by Kale and Laura. The weight of what they were about to say pressed heavily on his shoulders, but he knew there was no turning back. "This war has gone on long enough," Ryan began, his voice calm but firm. He projected images from the stolen data onto a large screen behind him. Charts showing dwindling resources, maps marked with vanished colonies, and reports of strange phenomena near the galaxy's edge. "You're running out of time, both of you." Commander Vortha leaned forward, her yellow eyes narrowing. "What are you trying to say, human? That we should surrender to the Xalans because we're tired?" "No," Ryan replied evenly. "I'm saying neither side will survive if you keep this up. There's something bigger coming, something that doesn't care who wins or loses." Kale stepped forward, holding up a fragment of the artifact's warning. "These messages aren't just legends. They're real. An ancient race left them behind to warn us about the void spawn, a force capable of destroying entire star systems. If you don't unite, none of you will live to see tomorrow." The room erupted into chaos. Voices shouted over one another, some accusing Ryan and Kale of fabricating lies, others demanding answers. Through it all, Laura remained quiet, observing the reactions carefully. When the noise finally died down, she spoke. "We found traces of this threat in your own records," she said, pointing to specific files on the screen. "Colonies disappearing without explanation. Energy readings unlike anything natural. You've seen these signs before. You just didn't know what they meant." For a moment, silence fell. A Xelan leader named Soren, whose segmented body shimmered faintly under the lights, tilted his head thoughtfully. "If what you say is true," he began, his voice low and measured, "then continuing this war would be suicide." Vortha glared at Soren but said nothing. Instead, she turned to Ryan. "Prove it," she demanded. "Show us evidence we can't ignore." Ryan exchanged a glance with Kale and Laura. They had expected resistance, but they were ready. "We'll take you to the artifacts," Ryan said. "Let them speak for themselves." The journey to the next artifact site was fraught with tension. Zalon and Varnethi ships accompanied the Odyssey *, their crews eyeing each other warily. When they arrived, the artifact hovered silently above a barren asteroid field, its surface glowing softly. As the leaders approached, the object reacted, projecting holographic images of burning planets and fleeing refugees. One image showed the void spawn itself, a swirling mass of darkness dotted with countless red eyes. It moved like a living storm, consuming everything in its path. Gasps filled the communication channels as the leaders watched, their faces pale with shock. This is real," Vortha whispered, her usual confidence shaken. Even Soren seemed stunned, his antennae twitching nervously. Kale seized the moment. "This is why you must stop fighting each other. Together, you stand a chance against this threat. Apart, you're doomed." Slowly, reluctantly, the leaders began to nod. For the first time in 800,000 years, the Zalans and Varnethi agreed to a temporary truce. It wasn't peace. Not yet, but it was a start. As the fleet prepared to return, Ryan felt a flicker of hope. Humanity had been called into this war for a reason, and now they had taken the first step toward ending it. But deep down, he knew the hardest battles were still ahead. The fragile truce between the Zalans and Varnethi held just long enough to prepare for the void spawn's arrival. The combined fleets gathered at the edge of the galaxy, forming a massive defensive line that stretched across several star systems. Ships from every surviving species stood side by side, their weapons aimed outward toward the unknown. Humanity played a key role in organizing the effort, with Ryan leading strategy meetings and Laura analyzing data to predict the enemy's movements. Kale worked tirelessly alongside them, acting as a mediator when tensions flared. Old rivalries didn't disappear overnight, and there were moments when arguments nearly broke out. But Kale reminded everyone why they were there, not for revenge or conquest, but for survival. Slowly, grudgingly, the factions began to trust each other, or at least tolerate one another. When the void spawn finally arrived, it was worse than anyone had imagined. A vast, swirling mass of darkness filled the horizon, blotting out stars as it advanced. Red eyes glowed within its depths, shifting and multiplying like predators stalking prey. It moved silently, yet its presence sent shivers through even the bravest warriors. Ryan gave the order to fire. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes shot out from the fleet, striking the void spawn's surface. At first, nothing happened. The attacks seemed to vanish into the void, absorbed without effect. Panic rippled through the ranks. "Keep firing," Ryan shouted over the comms. "We can't let it get closer." Laura studied sensor readings frantically, searching for a weakness. "It's feeding on our energy," she realized aloud. "Every shot we fire makes it stronger." Jake Harper, piloting a fighter ship nearby, heard her warning. "Then what do we do?" he asked, his voice tight with fear. Laura thought quickly. "We need to overload it. Give it too much energy at once. If we can destabilize its core, maybe it'll collapse." Ryan relayed the plan to the fleet. Working together, the ships coordinated a massive barrage, focusing all their firepower on a single point. The void spawn reacted violently, writhing as if in pain. Its red eyes flared brighter, and tendrils of darkness lashed out, destroying dozens of ships in seconds. Mia Torres stayed calm under pressure, guiding the remaining vessels into position. "Hold steady," she said firmly. "We're almost there." The final volley struck true. With a deafening roar that echoed through space, the void spawn's form shattered, collapsing inward until nothing remained but an empty void. Cheers erupted across the fleet, though they were short-lived. The cost had been high. Hundreds of ships lay in ruins, their crews lost forever. As the survivors regrouped, Commander Vortha approached Ryan, Her usual arrogance was gone, replaced by quiet respect. "You're kind. You made this possible," she said softly. "Thank you." Ryan shook his head. "It wasn't just us. Everyone fought together. That's what won the day." Kale nodded in agreement. "This proves we're stronger united than divided. Let's not forget that." Though battered and weary, the coalition began rebuilding. Temporary alliances turned into lasting partnerships, as species once divided by hatred found common ground. Humanity earned its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as equals who brought hope where none existed before. For Ryan, the victory was bittersweet. He knew peace wouldn't last forever, but for now, the galaxy had a chance to heal. As the Odyssey prepared to leave for Earth, he looked out at the stars, feeling proud of what they'd accomplished. They hadn't just saved themselves, they'd saved the future. The galaxy began to heal in the aftermath of the Void Spawn's defeat. Ships from different species worked together to clear debris and salvage what they could from the wreckage. Colonies that had been abandoned during the war started to rebuild, their people hopeful for a brighter future. The Zalons and Varnethi, once bitter enemies, shared resources and knowledge, slowly learning to trust one another. It wasn't perfect. There were still disagreements and moments of tension, but it was progress. On Earth, news of humanity's role in saving the galaxy spread quickly. People celebrated in the streets, waving flags and lighting up the night sky with fireworks. For the first time, humanity felt like part of something bigger. They weren't just explorers or newcomers. They were equals among the stars. President Clara Hayes addressed the world from the Capitol, her voice filled with pride. "We stood alongside ancient civilizations and proved that courage and unity can overcome even the greatest threats," she said. "This is only the beginning." Ryan returned home a hero, but he didn't seek fame or recognition. He spent his days reflecting on everything they'd been through, often sitting quietly by the window of his small cabin overlooking the ocean. Jake and Mia visited him occasionally, bringing stories of their new adventures. The Odyssey had been repaired and upgraded, ready for its next mission. Laura, too, stayed busy, analyzing data from the artifacts and writing reports about the Void Spawn. Her work became the foundation for galactic cooperation, as scientists from all species collaborated to prevent future threats. Kale continued his efforts toward peace, traveling between planets to strengthen alliances. He often thought about the humans who had changed everything. "You remind us of ourselves long ago," he told Ryan during one of their meetings, "before we forgot how to hope." Lyra, Torin, and Nessa joined Kale on many of these journeys, their skills invaluable in bridging gaps between cultures. Together, they helped create systems for trade, communication, and mutual defense. Slowly, the scars of 800,000 years of war began to fade. As weeks turned into months, Ryan received an invitation from the newly formed Galactic Council. Representatives from every species gathered to honor those who had fought against the Void Spread. Standing before them, Ryan spoke simply and honestly. "We didn't win because we were stronger or smarter," he said. "We won because we chose to stand together." Let's never forget that lesson. After the ceremony, Commander Vorthada approached Ryan again. This time, she extended her hand, a gesture of friendship. "You've earned your place here," she said. "Welcome to the family." Ryan smiled, shaking her hand firmly. "It's not just my place. It's ours. All of us." Back aboard the Odyssey, the crew prepared for their next journey. Their destination was unknown, but that didn't matter. What mattered was the bond they'd formed and the legacy they'd left behind. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage unsure of itself, but now it walked with confidence, carrying lessons of unity and resilience. As the ship launched into the stars, Ryan looked out at the endless expanse of space. Somewhere out there were more mysteries, more challenges waiting to be faced. But for now, the galaxy was safe, and so was its future. Together, they had proven that even in the darkest times, light could shine through. And so, humanity's story among the stars continued, not as conquerors or outsiders, but as partners in a shared destiny.